guys like the intro music of the third season for White Lotus?
It's trash.
Right? Why would you get rid of that classic fucking song, dude?
I gotta be honest. I'm gonna be 100% honest. I have never listened to any season's intro music because when I get the opportunity to skip intro, I skip the shit out of it.
Welcome to a special TV show episode of Three and a Half Gentlemen, the podcast where three of the four hosts provide a refined and intellectual analysis of movies and TV shows while one of us tries desperately to keep up. But we'll let you decide which host is which. But for now, my name is Sean, and with me, as always, in paradise, a mysterious paradise, a crime-ridden paradise, are my co-hosts, Jeremiah.
What up, yo?
Eddie.
Weed helps, but I don't like the travel fit.
And Brandon.
It's like a Disneyland for rich bohemians from Malibu in their Lululemon yoga pants.
I knew you were going to say that one.
That was a good one.
That was a really good one.
I knew you were going to say that one. All right. Well, throughout season 6, we're going to be talking about several different TV shows, starting with The White Lotus, season 3, the hit show on Matt's HBO.
HBO. That's right, bro.
Uh-huh.
Dude, that's like the best ringtone when you think about it, dude. As with every review we give, our goal is to answer one simple question. How many drinks does it take to get through the film that we just watched? Or in this case, a TV show that we just watched. Well, at the end of the podcast, we'll rate each episode based on a scale of 0 to 5, with 0 being the perfect episode that you watch stone cold sober, and 5 being sort of the episode that makes you feel like you realize you used bribe money with the wrong guy. Now you're waiting for the feds to come and get you. Hey, question, guys. Mm-hmm. You know who that voice was?
Oh my God, I have it on my phone. I just looked up his name because I didn't want to screw it up. I was so excited.
Is it the realtor from season 1?
Goonies.
I thought it was
Everything Everywhere at Once.
Oh, I thought it was a travel agent.
I'm so excited.
I thought it was
I
a
feel
travel
so bad
agent.
for him. Like, no.
The man that was freaking out, right?
Kenny. I believe his name is Kenny.
Yes.
And I'm so excited because I think he's going to come in the show. He's got to.
I'm ready for it.
I'm excited.
He's got to.
Well, he appeared in unexpectedly in Loki season 2, and he was the best part of that season. It was so fucking good. He was like the little tinker. It was so good. He reminded me of his character from the Goonies, which was really exciting. So, all right.
Data.
With that, what episode do we have tonight?
So we are taking a look at The White Lotus, which takes viewers into and behind the scenes of the swanky White Lotus Resort. For the third season, we find ourselves following a slew of whiny and troubled resort guests at the White Lotus, Thailand. And specifically with episode 2, we continue following the strange as hell dynamics of the Ratliff family, the trio of gossiping middle-aged women, and a grumpy Walton Goggins. As of this recording, the season has an IMDb score, I was proud of that one, of 8.0, and an average...
Grumpy Walton Goggins.
Grumpy. Oh, man, I love him. Anyway, it's got an IMDb score of 8.0, an average critics score of 96%. That is 96%, an audience score of 91% on Rotten Tomatoes. So it is climbing up there on Rotten Tomatoes, and it's staying pretty stagnant there on IMDb.
So is this only for season 3, or is it like
I think
accumulated of all seasons?
Holistic. It's a holistic score.
Rotten Tomatoes is actually season 3. IMDb, I believe, is the entire White Lotus because they don't have it broken up into
the franchise
season. Yeah.
So I kind of want to start with this episode, and I want to say that I watched it twice because the first time I watched it, I was like, nothing fucking happened. Like, nothing of import took place. What did I just watched 45 minutes of this episode. What the hell happened? And then I went back and watched it again, and so much happened that I missed, or I just wasn't paying attention. And so I think
that's dangerous with this series.
The series has a tendency to lull you into this like false sense of, oh, I'm just watching the pretty places, and the like. I missed the whole conversation between the brother and the sister because I was like, man, look at that fucking like hammock in the water.
Hammock in the water.
I thought the same thing, dude.
Yep. I was saying, God, that's fucking badass.
I was just like, what am I doing right here? Why are we not over there?
Yeah, how do I make that like a reality? Like, how do I do that in the backyard? Because that'd be really cool to be able to sit in the pool, and all of a sudden,
in your pool,
she's storming off. I'm like, oh shit,
Eddie, we could do that in our tub.
I don't know.
We could just do that in the bathtub. because both of
I
us
have one
fit
of
in
those blow-up
bathtubs.
pools
I know.
I have one of those blow-up pools in the backyard.
There you go. That's
So
a
I'm
good idea.
Anyway, so
That's
I
a
just
good one,
wanted to
bro.
I wanted to warn audiences and warn my fellow hosts that I did fall into this lull, and then all of a sudden the episode was over, and I was like a totally different view of the youngest brother now from this episode to the first episode.
Tell me. I
From
want to
the
know.
first episode, I thought he was incestuous, wanted to be with his brother, with his older brother, and he's sitting there at the beginning of this episode, and it's a close up of Patrick Schwarzenegger's very trimmed ass. Okay,
Yeah.
and I'm looking at it, and then it goes to the boy, the brother, and he's looking at it, but he's not looking at it as lustfully. He's looking at it as though he wants to be physically like his brother. He wants the physique of his
Sean.
brother, because then he gets out of
Eddie
bed.
said that last episode.
Yep.
Yeah, and he goes to the mirror in the bathroom, and he looks at his body, and he's like, "Oh, it's not like that." Like he's either he wants to become a man, or he wants to become stronger, or
Okay, I hear you. I see you. I disagree with you. I thought that actually that opening shot of the ass cheek to then the gazing at the ass cheek was confirming everything that we kind of
How many
talked
times did you
about.
watch it? I mean, did you? I had to rewatch it a couple times to make sure he wasn't gazing. He was not gazing. It was like a God. My brother has a good ass. I want one like that.
Bro, he
much as I've
woke
seen.
up, the guy busted ass. I mean, he's just like, dude, seriously?
Oh
What
no,
the
no,
fuck,
no!
yo?
You guys, okay? No.
Got no covers?
Okay. Listen, I'm going to go back though to Sean, what you said, and this is in the day. So, listeners, everybody, I've heard from Sean, and I've heard from other people that, oh man, episode 2 sucked. It was. I didn't say sucked, Sean. I'm putting words, but it's boring. Not a lot happens, and so I kind of went into watching it this evening with that kind of expectation. And holy shit, I'm going to say it right now. This is one of the best episodes of season 3. I think that this one was fantastic, and I do want to talk specifically about the robbery and the implications of the robbery on all the members. I feel like that was one of the most inciting incidents that we've gotten in this show, and I mean the show in 3 seasons now.
And not to derail our conversation, but Jeremiah said last time, White Lotus has lost three victims at least, and it's still going strong. But it also had a invasion in one of its rooms in season 1, where a person who worked at the White Lotus Hotel beat the shit out of a guest, and then the guest stabbed the guy. I don't know. There's something.
I got a question. I got a question for you guys.
Behind the scenes
Okay.
here.
I got a question, Jared, and then I want to ask you guys. So going to the robbery, and this is an argument that Amanda and I had. Do you feel that the guy on the motorcycle who stopped and talked to Guy Talk, is he in on it? Because I think that he's in on it, and he was stalling.
Yes, I will bet $1,000 that he's on it, and I guarantee those robbers were actually the 2 private security guys from the episode 1. And what he's going to try to do, in a lot of ways, is recruit that security guy who got bopped in the head to go to one of these matches to actually get the biggest heist or something going on.
Okay,
He's gonna
back
get
up
recruited.
because I am
Yeah.
lost. Who do we think is behind the?
Okay.
It's an employee.
There's 2 security guys, like heavy arm, in episode 1. That the security guy, the main security guy that we're following, that he's trying
The
to
guy
be
in the hut.
buddy with.
The guy in the hut.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's 2 security guys right there, right?
Also overheard the conversation that Jason Isaacs had.
Yeah,
with his
but let's not
partner
get ahead
on
of
the
us. Don't get ahead of
Okay.
yourself.
Okay. So there's those 2 guys right there. Now, what Brandon's talking about is kind of the guy that is one of the host in a lot of ways, the represent, do you know what I'm talking about? The masseuse guy?
Okay.
Yeah.
The guy who did the masseuse with the milk scrub on her feet and then did her, or
No.
a different masseuse.
Was it the one that did all 3
Is it
ladies?
Vincent Victor
Yeah.
Vincevio?
So it wasn't a masseuse. He was doing the
But he was the
calculations.
wellness.
the
That's
something,
right.
Yeah.
Yes.
He was doing the body mass index numbers and seeing
Yeah.
what their
Your body.
Yeah.
You're half your age, and he said it to both of them.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just average.
So I think that he's in on the robbery, because what he did is he stopped right there on his motorbike, right, on his motorcycle, and he stopped so that Guy Talk could not drop the gate. And at that point, that's when that car came racing through, right? And so I think
Gotcha.
for sure that he is in on it, which means, Sean, I hate to say it, but you're going to be right. You said this season you predicted last week is going to be about the staff. And I think that that's where it's all going to go down. I think that we've got some really interesting guests, but I think the staff stories are starting to blossom out. And we got this weird kind of rejection from Mook to Gaitaka, which, I mean, his rejection hurt me. I don't know if it hurt you guys, but it was so sad.
Yeah, but it looked like he kind of won her in the end. You know, like, hey, you risk your life.
know, and
Do you
she's
think
like,
that
I
was
thought
kind of
about
like
you.
brave, like she were. Well, you'd be surprised that maybe it might be lit a little fire under her
yeah,
ass.
a little spark.
Well, I hope
She
so.
also might be
Yes.
in on it. I mean, who knows? I mean, that would
She
be a
could
big
be.
twist too.
But I want to say it has to do with all the workers. I mean, I think it's more about the workers than about the guests. If I really come down to think about it now, it has just as deep plot stories with the workers there, as Sean's mentioned last episode and this episode now. So judging this, I think they're even all the way down to, I think they know who's staying there at the same time.
Mhm.
Like, it almost seems like, they know that there's a few guests there that have money or that's supposed to have money. So I think it's something's going to happen with some type of heist.
And it's more than money. They know their secrets. They know. I mean, look at Walton Goggins' Rick character. He opened up to so he never intended to open up. He was scheduled to deal with his anger with that woman, and then all of a sudden he finds himself divulging information about himself, true or not true, that he regrets, because when he's at dinner later, he says, "I'm not going back there. I'm not doing that again," because he's exposing too much of himself. And this is kind of, I think, one of the themes of the show that's so interesting is that, people in general don't share what's going on inside of them with the people closest to them. And then you go to a therapist, or you go to your hairstylist, or you go somewhere here, and they fucking tell every goddamn secret that you could possibly have in your life. They're blabbing it out. And so I'm almost wondering if this season is about the staff gathering all of that ancillary information and using that for financial gain.
After seeing season 1, getting into season 2 and seeing Greg, who is with Jennifer Coolidge, and now seeing him there, and correct me if I'm wrong, he's got a different name. He's Gary here, right?
Gary.
So he's got a different name now, but I think that there's something interesting happening about him, especially since he was flashed there in episode 1, right? We had the dinner, the weird dinner and everything. And now we don't hear about him. I think that that's something that from what I've seen of White Lotus, it does really well, is it drops these little breadcrumbs.
Episode 1 was at the bar, Brandon.
Oh, you're right. Right. Yeah, I'm just
Dinner.
kidding. Oh, that's right. That's right. Yes, and then you got her like doing this, like, oh, you got to talk to him, and that's right. And then found out what his deals was, and he was eating a little bit of this and a little bit of that. You're right.
He does a little of this and a little of that.
I got a shitload of White Lotus in my brain right now.
I do the same. Gary. I do a little of this and a little of that.
A lot of people doing a little bit of this and a little bit of that.
Yeah. Let's talk about Rick here, because honestly, like, his storyline is so interesting. I find it interesting because I'm going to ask you guys, is he a hitman, or is he out for blood revenge to avenge his father's death? Because he said that his father was murdered and just so like not available. Like, he's just completely just like in the zone. He almost feels like a hitman in a lot of ways. What do you guys think?
I don't think he's a hitman. I'll go first. I think that his father knew the owner of White Lotus Thailand, and I think that he has fucked his father in some way, like business wise. Like he stole the White Lotus away from him. He did something,
Or murder him.
or murdered him, or did something to create animus between the two characters. And Walton Goggins is going to be the least violent character of the series, because he appears to be the most violent character. He appears to be the guy who's gonna fuck shit up with the guns, and I think that he's gonna go bare his soul to and appeal emotionally to the owner of the White Lotus, because that's what the show does. And I'm using the show's unpredictability against itself, is that if you think something's going to happen one way, it's probably not going to happen that way. I think he's going to come, go ahead.
Yeah. So I think that this is a classic case of Scooby-Doo red herring right here. And I'm saying this because they're using my father died before I was born. That's bullshit. It's the figurative death. It's not the literal death. I think that he left the mom. He left the mom. He's pissed about what happened with the mom. Maybe he hooked her on drugs. The dad did. Left him, abandoned him. Whatever it's going to be.
So it's his father.
It's his father.
He's his
I'm
father,
going back to its dad, and I think that we're
that was Eddie's subscription,
and this is the case of us trying to outsmart it, and sometimes. It's Occam's razor. Sometimes it's the simplest answer.
And I mean it right. I'm not trying to outsmart it. It just he just seems so cold blooded. Like he just seems so like
he seems empty and he even says
in a lot of ways. Yeah,
he even says it to the therapist. He goes, "I'm already nothing. I'm already a shell." And I'm like, oh, that's a psychopath. Like that motherfucker could kill a bunch of.
But here's the interesting thing: a couple times, I think 2 or 3 times, there's mentioning about his age. Right? Talked about him going bald, talking about him being old.
No, he's not
talking about him being old. Right, I know. But that's something interesting too, is that there's such a focus on age. I feel like, especially with the owner, having the stroke and recovering in Bangkok, I think that it has to be something with this idea of I have to do this, I have to have this confrontation before I am, in his mind, old and has lost the chance and opportunity. I think that this is something he's wanted to do his whole life, is to confront his dad. And finally, at this point in his life, he's getting the opportunity to do that, or he's taking the opportunity to do that.
Well, yeah. Eddie.
So that was my first guess. I almost want to say it's a family member. I'm gonna venture off the dad, and maybe it's an uncle that did his own dad dirty or something. Mm-hmm. I want to say it's something that it's related to him, and he's pissed off at. He's definitely pissed off at him. Mm-hmm. I'm going to go with the idea that maybe it's real. His dad did die, but it's the way he died. It's probably from this guy who made a deal, and in order to get rich, this is what happened.
So, do you think that they're going to take?
He's out for it.
Are they going to take the action away from White Lotus and go to Bangkok?
I was wondering about that too, because I believe, from my understanding, researching this, is that what this season was supposed to happen, from my understanding, the location was supposed to be in Japan, but the series changed at the very last minute to go to Thailand. So there's a possibility that you could probably explore different locations with White Lotus and different areas and things like that. That's
take it away from.
And I really hope they go. I mean, just from a practical perspective, I know this is where you're going, but I hope they do go to Bangkok for at least part of the show. Because Bangkok is badass. I don't know if you've seen some of the they have a lot of neon and a lot of it's beautiful cinematography can happen. It was in a James Bond film. Yeah. It was really cool. So go ahead.
In season 2, I don't want to say too much into it, but they jumped outside the hotel a couple times.
Right. They went in Rome. They went to the Godfather house. They went to the Colosseum. Yeah. Or not the Colosseum, but they went to some other places. But
so 2 episodes in, Brandon, Eddie, Sean, what story are you most interested in of all the stories? These 4 stories going on.
I like the Mean Girls. Yeah, I think they're all catty to each other.
That's like watching Real Housewives, Desperate Housewives type of shit, dude. They're gonna eat each other alive, dude. Seriously.
Sooner or later, they're all gonna be, by next episode, they're all gonna be fighting with each other. Sooner or later, they're all just gonna split up.
The easy answer, Jared, to that is the family, right? The Ratliff family. But I'm going with Eddie. I am finding myself most interested in what's going on with these characters. And here's the reason, is it's not so much the backstory. I don't give a shit about the backstory. I don't think the backstory is going to be that interesting between these 3 women. For me, it's how they're going to fit into the puzzle, right? And they seem so pointless. If you know what I'm saying? They seem so kind of off on their own little sphere and tangent over there. But obviously, their story is going to have to kind of integrate with the others, and that to me is what I'm most interested to see, is how White and all the other writers are going to bring them into the group and kind of explore everybody through them too.
And let me tell you something that is my experience with this show versus other shows, is that if you're waiting for flashbacks and outside information outside to influence the story.
Oh, good point.
You're not getting it. What happens at the White Lotus is the story. So whatever baggage they bring, it unfolds at the White Lotus. Yep. So I'm thinking about Jason Isaacs' character. He's got this phone call with Kenny, and Kenny goes fucking crazy because their FBI is raiding his house. I get caught up in waiting for the history, and the history is not coming. It's what happens on the island. We got to keep that in mind because There is no past. There's no like flashbacks outside the island. You're not going to get anything. If they say it on the island, then it is true, or that it is part of the story.
Hear me out on this, okay? So I love Jennifer Coolidge. I know some of you guys don't like her, but I think she's the heartbeat of White Lotus. Okay. Okay. So wouldn't it be the funniest fucking thing if it turned out that Jennifer Coolidge comes back to the series, to this season, as that one friend that Lisa Bibb is talking about, that I'm going to go and get a hold of her and tell you that you're here.
Yes.
And it turns out to be her
sister,
as
her
a different kid, or sister, or something like that. That would be so fucking great, dude.
She's got to come back. First of all, she's got to come back. Period of the story. Okay. She's got to figure out a way to come back.
Listen, I'm just putting it out there. It's not going to stick. It's not going to stick. I'm just putting it out there.
If it's a flashback, I don't give a shit. She's got to come back to the show. Yes. I want to say one more thing here about the whole the children of the Ratliff family. Okay, somebody had said, "Hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil." Okay, so you did in the first episode. If you look at the second episode, the youngest son went into a sensory deprivation chamber where he could hear no evil. The oldest son, the boy, Patrick Schwarzenegger, went into a massage where they put a thing over his eyes where he could see no evil.
Nice.
And the daughter did something. What did she do? I had it, and I can't remember.
Did she go to therapy?
She was meditating.
She was meditating where she couldn't talk. That's what it was. She couldn't. There was no talking.
So speak no evil.
Speak no evil. So I thought it was very interesting how they've kind of
2 episodes in a row. Whoa!
Either purposefully or not, there's a theme here. And if you look at it, like that whole family is kind of, don't ask, don't tell, right? It's nobody really wants to know what's going on.
Well, there's a lot of references to snakes. Is that just something I've noticed? A lot of snakes in every season, White Lotus, and is that like a symbol to something of like a snake in the grass?
Well, I think that, but you also got the symbol of snake as the tempter, which if we're looking at it, we're all talking about travel destinations that are tempting. And you've got all sorts of temptations happening.
Oh,
you've got the idea,
Garden of Eve.
You've got the idea also of the circular. I can't remember what it's called, but the snake
Ouroboros.
The snake eating its tail. So basically, it's consuming
Ouroboros.
It's consuming itself, right? So, and we could look at that and say that it's basically these characters are destroying themselves. So I think that there's a whole lot of symbolism going on here. Obviously, and we talked about the see, hear, speak no evil. And with the snake, this is a show that to me is rooted in symbolism and metaphor and not so much in other storytelling methods, which I think is fantastic because this show is a show that shouldn't be successful to me because it's so deep and because it's so
it's Schadenfreude. It is. For those of you who don't know, listen to our podcast. We mentioned this term many times, probably never described it. Schadenfreude is a German term which means taking pleasure in the fall of others. Mm-hmm. It's actually deriving pleasure from watching people fail. Not fail just like a test, but fail like in life, like devolve into something.
Right, it makes
horrible.
us feel better about ourselves. Yeah.
Like watching ridiculousness.
Yeah, like there you go. In college, the professor told me it was like watching an accident, like watching the accident, sitting there and watching the accident take place and the bodies and like watching everything just kind of go to hell.
Mm-hmm. Then the little person out of the group, season 1, I was thinking like the best friend of the girl that got invited to the group, or in season 2 it was, I don't want to say anything, but it was like the couple,
the assistant.
They also reunited. Couple
I want her to be happy.
Those little things, little hopes.
I want her to be happy.
There's little hopes.
Mainly because I loved her in 5 Feet Apart.
The good people, bad things happen around them, but they still find good, and they find something in that.
You know who directed that movie?
Who was it?
Justin Baldini directed that movie.
Oh God, was it? Oh, we should do one of his movies in the future.
Yeah, we should.
What do you think is happening in next episode?
Well, I think sparks are going to fly next episode because we're probably going to get that showdown between Belinda and Gary. They're going to have that moment. I'm excited for that right there.
She recognized him, but she's just like, where do you look familiar from? Like type thing.
Here's my thought. Yeah. I think that what we're going to have is a focus away from the family, and I think we're gonna have focus more on the three women. I think that Lori, who's Carrie Coon's character, and Jacqueline, who's Michelle Monaghan's character, they're going to have their side conversation, and the other one's going to walk in on them and cause holy hell shit falling from the sky. I think that that's going to be a blow up. I think that that's going to be the focus is the three of them. And then also on top of that, I do think that we're going to have something with this fight that Guy Cock, the security guard, was invited to. I think that's going to fall in.
He's going to meet up the other security guys.
Yep.
You watch.
I don't know if you guys have seen the trailers, but the trailers, it looks like a horror movie. It makes it look like shit's going to go down at the White Lotus hotel resort. Like, because I was thinking it's time for some excursions. It's time for the people to get out of the out of the White Lotus and go do something. But then I'm wondering, like if you take Michelle Monaghan's trio of women and they go on a boat somewhere, they come back and it's just bedlam. Like something's got to happen.
I don't think that we're going to get anything big happening at the White Lotus. I think it's all going to be under the radar, which kind of is MO.
That's how it happens
show.
at the White Lotus,
buddy. I think it's going to burn down. I think it's all going to burn down.
See, next episode?
Or you think?
Eddie, what do you think?
Not next episode.
No, I don't.
But by the end of this season,
I
dude.
think there's going to be some type of scandal with someone who this happens often. With somebody who works at the hotel, with somebody a guest that's not there. So one of the girls is going to hook up with that guy.
What? Here, my question: what incident could happen at White Lotus that would draw the owner of White Lotus back from Bangkok to White Lotus?
Another robbery.
He's going to kidnap him back.
The biggest heist. They're planning to set up and rob the whole resort.
No, I got something even more.
It's just because we watched.
Wait.
It's just because we watched Heat.
Wait.
It's just because we watched Heat.
Bro, there's an inside man, dude.
Jared, here it is. If you're thinking about what could bring a just recently stroke-ridden man, who is, I'm guessing, in his 80s, back from Bangkok to that, it's going to be the kidnapping of his wife. I think that could happen because she's leaving the next day. So if we've got the robbery,
interesting.
We've got the robbery, we've got crime right there. We've got this idea then of kidnapping, holding for ransom, brings him back.
So who plays who?
The owner. I'm thinking it's got to be Dick Van Dyke.
No,
that's a joke.
Here's what I'm thinking. I was thinking someone like Peter Weller would be a very interesting little choice there. Like, someone who's in his 80s.
RoboCop Peter Weller. I'm down with that, dude.
Well,
I think the dad's gonna bring in the son, or the son's gonna find out the oldest son, and he's gonna be like fucking afraid. Like, what the fuck do you mean, Dad? I'm just like.
We're going that route.
Yeah,
okay.
because Jason Isaacs has to have a spiral, right? So he's got to have a spiral at some point. He can't just keep up the facade.
Bro, I was asking Hannah about this. Like, would it be cool if it was John Hamm instead of fucking Jason Isaac? I feel like John Hamm should be playing this part than him.
Oh, now that you say that.
Yeah, now you can see that.
Now that you say that, of course I want John Hamm to play. Like, I mean, what's Draco Malfoy doing, or Lucius Malfoy doing there, where you can have Don Draper? That's ridiculous.
So there's a little thing. There's a little thing that caught me, and I think that's more important than we're giving it credit for, and that is that Jacqueline, when she decides that she's going to go to bed and go read, right, she picks up the owner's wife, right, her book. And she's taking it into her bedroom, and she's flipping through it. And it's all in Thai, and I feel like there's something more to that. I don't know what it is, but I don't know what could that possibly signify. How could we possibly? Is it maybe the fact that she is independently important and a celebrity on her own from the book? I mean, I don't know. What do you think?
I don't know, but one of the interesting things, just to kind of back up the Thai montage there, is I don't know if you realize, but behind you guys watched it with subtitles. Behind the subtitles are the Thai subtitles, which are beautiful,
really cool.
It's just
that's pretty cool, dude.
It's gorgeous, and I'm like, oh, that's such a beautiful little addition. It makes it so personal.
Yeah.
Hey, listen.
But I don't know, Brandon. I don't know.
There's a reason for everything with every scene that you have in this series. So you know what? Let's just go, dude.
Yeah.
Episode 3. Here we go.
Here we go.
And that brings us to the end of our review. Now it's time in the podcast where each of the hosts provides his score on the following scale. I feel Rick. Can you please
Yes.
provide the score?
0, the perfect episode. You don't need shit to enjoy. I'm going to go old school. 1, a feel-good first cocktail. 2, a happy buzz. 3, Uber lifting home. 4, rough morning walk of shame. 5, blackout, shit-faced, spring break drunk.
Here we go.
All right.
3, 2, and 1. See what I did there?
Interesting.
Ooh, Eddie did not like this episode.
Wow. Okay. Okay. Sean, you can take it away.
Yeah, I'll go first. I thought that the revelations in this episode, for being the second episode, which I think sometimes has the tendency to go slow and you miss stuff. I think we had some huge revelations in this episode. Number 1 is you actually got a phone call between Kenny and Jason Isaac's character. You know now what's going on, which I thought they were going to let that burn for a while. And now we know FBI's involved, shit's happening. I think that you had a lot of character development with the trio of women, specifically the actress, kind of divulging her insecurities to her friends. And then I thought the robbery is going to be the first indication that something is wrong in paradise. Like something, Jeremiah used the phrase, there's something rotten in Denmark, from a wonderful Shakespearean play. I think there's something rotten in Thailand. There's something going on that we don't know about, and we got a big view of it, very crystal clear in this episode. We don't know what it is. We don't know why, but we know something's going on. And I think that's very exciting. So for that, I give this episode a 1, which is a feel-good first cocktail. I wish that it had gripped me more, but in watching it a second time, it really did give me a lot of data, and I like data-driven episodes.
So I agree with a lot what Sean's talking about. I mean, this episode was a slow burn. It didn't start off right away, but you know what? I think all the stories are going to their own paths. I want to know more about the robbery. I want to know what's going on with the whole situation with Hitman Rick. I still think he's a hitman. They're providing so much information, but they're not telling us anything here. Other than that, you got a lot of good things going on here. I'm on the track. It's ready to go. It's a good second episode. It's a 1.5 for me. It's a feel-good first cocktail with the shot.
Really like
a
the
1.5 for me.
Though. I really like to feel first.
Nah, it's all right. So that's my score, dude.
Eddie.
Yeah, I'll go because I know who's gaga over this episode. So it was a slow burn for me as well. Like, I don't think it was a bad episode. I think it was in my eyes, White Lotus, what they notorious for doing is they go down before they go something big. So in order to go up, you got to go down first. And I felt like they purposely left out a couple items. They opened up the doors, a couple of the doors, but it was just entrances where it's just a dark pass. You don't know what it is yet. So they left these questions that just led to more questions and more questions. And now there's a heist that's, on the skirts, or it was just a one-time thing, or who else is involved. So I really enjoyed this episode. I felt like the Ratcliffe family, that was Jeremiah said, the Kennedys, they're somewhat annoying me a little bit. I think the mom was probably the best part, but I'm enjoying them at the same time. They're annoying me with some of the, like, what's happening with this. I want to know.
Why is he talking about me? Ew, stay away from me.
Are they loving each other? Are they lovers, secret lovers? What's going on? Like, it's pissing me off a little bit. I want more. Now, I got what I wanted with Rick and Chelsea, and also Gary, his lover, who they say is a prostitute, or they met on the site. I don't know. So I got more information there, but overall, like I said, it's a slow burner, and it just one of those episodes that I felt like it was a filler, not a filler, more like a bridge. They gave more data, but overall, they purposely they left off a lot, for my eyes. So I gave it a 2. I give this a 2. Happy Buzz episode.
You talk, give me 2.
Brandon, run us off.
All right, so I went into this one, I guess, with lower expectations because I'd heard a couple people talking about how it is boring, how it's a pointless episode. I'm not saying, Sean, that was what you said, but that's what I heard kind of down the vine. And I think so when shit started to really start unfolding in ways that added not length to the episode or length to the storyline, but more depth to the character. Eddie, it's going back to my favorite thing, which is just character development. I mean, we develop so many characters in so many beautiful ways. The catty trio of women who are just like, the two of them attack the other one, and then all of a sudden, a little bit later, the other two attack. I mean, I thought it was so frustrating and so beautifully done, because that's so human nature, right? And as crappy as it is, I think that's kind of what this show is doing really well from what I've seen, is that it shows us the ugly parts of ourselves that we don't necessarily always want to talk about. But when we really kind of examine ourselves at a base, that's exactly who we are. Eddie, the only thing that I'm going to agree with you on is that we're spending a little bit too much time with the Ratliff family. I think that would be one of the reasons why I probably didn't score it even lower than I did, and I gave it a really, really good score. Is yes, we know that they're weird. Yes, we know that there's something going on. But at the same time, I kind of just want to get away from them. It's almost like in season 1, I got really tired of the newlywed couple. I'm just like, okay, let's move on to something different.
Oh, I'm with you on that. Yeah.
I'm worrying that
right
at this point they are falling into the same trap, is that they're just spending too much time on one storyline and neglecting the others. I don't think that they're doing that, but that's my worry.
And I think that Jeremiah is right. I think we should score the opening credits, because the opening credits are like a 5.5. They're if I was to rate the opening credits on a scale of Sound of Music to All the Boys I Loved Before, it's All the Boys I Loved Before Part 2.
Easy there, Sean.
Jeremiah's favorite
Jeez.
Netflixes, yeah.
All right, when we take those 4
Teen
scores,
Netflix, come
when
on.
we take those 4 scores and divide by 4, what does the second episode of the 3rd season of White Lotus get an average rating of?
It gives us a 1.33.
1.33. Jeremiah, when you put it on the a list of episodes so far.
Sorry.
Why?
The fucking song's dope, dude. It's such a good fucking song, dude.
It was. I mean, I don't know why they would change it. It just pissed me off.
It got all fucking industrial fucking goth music in the end. And I was like, what the hell?
Everyone's waiting for the drop, drop the beat, drop the beat. It doesn't even drop at all.
It's just nothing. It's terrible.
Go ahead, Sean.
When you take those 4 scores and divide by 4, what does? We know the average rating.
It's a 1.33.
1.33.
Where's that on this list?
Yeah, sorry.
So where does it land in our season so far for White Lotus? It is the number 1 show. It's the number 1 episode for White Lotus.
Nice.
It's number 1, a 1.33.
What was the second? That was the first one.
The first episode, which is number 2 now, it's a 1.4825.
Okay,
so if you actually put those together.
Sorry, I had to. Go ahead.
Oh, that's gonna be so fun to edit that shit. You just make my life hard.
That's my point in life. Go ahead.
So if you average both of our rating scores, it's a 1.406 for series average for White Lotus season 3.
Okay, all right. Okay. I mean, we'll see where this plays out. Do we have any
workers, I guess, at the White Lotus Thailand? Specifically with episode 3, we are continuing to watch the devolution of several different groups of people at the resort, including our favorite, I think fan favorite, Rick, played by the one and only Walton Goggins. As of this recording, the season has an IMDb score of 7.0. Actually, I take that back. That is a 7.0 for this episode, because now IMDb, I found where it says for the episode. There it is.
But, welcome.
But Rotten Tomatoes is just giving us the show. So Rotten Tomatoes has given us a 95% for an audience score and an 89% on Rotten Tomatoes for rounding it out, which is actually
this one's the lowest one of
down.
season 3.
It's a trickle down. It's starting to get This
is the lowest one of season 3.
Yes. Well, and let's talk about that, because I think it's deservingly the worst episode of season 3. I feel like they're slow burning it to death. We've had kind of We had kind of season one where you met episode one where you met the characters. You had episode two where you kind of learned something about every group. And then you had episode three where I feel like the only person that you really learned anything about was Walton Goggins' Rick. And I think that Rick had an absolute breakthrough moment. You realize what happened to his father. And you have this moment where you turn from thinking he's an asshole to actually like feeling for the guy. You have this what Brandon would call character development moment where you've changed the arc of the character.
I got a theory as to why this episode exists, and we got to look at it. This is one extra episode than season 2 had, and now that I finished season 2, everybody, I can say it was amazing. Season 2 was the best. It's what White Lotus should be, and it's 2 episodes more right than season 1. We're looking at all of season 3. I feel like what they are constantly doing is they're trying to expand what they can do, but at the same time, they're telling maybe a 7-episode series or season in 8 episodes. This to me was nothing but
That's
filler.
a good point.
And I feel like it's almost like, and I'm not saying that this is exactly what happened, but it's almost like they plotted out the season for 7 episodes, and Max comes up to him and is like, "Hey, we're giving you 8." It felt like, those movies that are stretched into 2 movies when it should just be 1, right? That's what we got here. Is we just got a movie that was just, or an episode that was just so full. Watch your mouth. Granted, I would have taken a 6-hour movie, but it felt like, right? Didn't it feel like a movie that was kind of just created just to fill space? Like, I mean, even with Rick's eventual kind of opening up, even that wasn't anything to write home about.
No. Don't get ahead of yourself on that one.
I want Jared to talk.
I think really what we got in this episode, it gave us like, wow, there's a lot of people in this. I'm kind of thinking about like, okay, maybe in this series, we might have multiple deaths, not just one. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying?
Well, it seems like an active shooter situation. So there could be. Well, half the cast could die.
The body that we saw in the pond. What makes you think that person got shot? You know what I'm saying? Because we see people that could get poisoned eating like a fruit. We saw that with Saxon or something like that. Someone getting bit by a snake. You see something like that. It could be multiple.
By the way, it seems like there should have been like a sign that said like, "Hey, don't eat this fruit; it'll kill you." Like, so I mean, I don't know.
How many times, Sean, do you walk by a tree and you're like, "I'm hungry"? Never. Jeremy's right. We never look at that.
Bullshit.
No, I've seen Into the Wild. I've seen Into the Wild too many times.
I cannot tell you how many times during the summer when I was a kid, when I walked by an orange tree and grabbed an orange and ate an orange. There's no
Wizard
way.
of Oz taught me never to do that. Because the trees come alive and throw apples.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
When we do on the Adams Run, guys, we would.
Oh, that's a different story.
We would grab an orange.
Different story there, Ed.
I'm just saying there should have been a sign, and there wasn't. But
I agree.
I'm totally with you, Jeremiah. Who's to say how that victim died? Who's to say that victim is dead? Who's to say anything right now? We don't know anything at this point. We're only making supposition.
Eddie has something that I got a question for you guys. So, Ed.
Okay.
So I personally think this in this season, we're going to have one person from every group die. I think Chelsea's gonna die, and it's been such a time. Yeah, I think she's gonna die. There's such a time saying I almost died. Almost like she's gonna.
Wait,
die.
which one's Chelsea? Is that Leslie Bibb?
Goggins,
the one that you don't like, the one I think is actually the heartbeat of this season.
Someone from the brother, someone from the family. What do you call it? What type of family is that?
It'll be the Rex. What's her last name? The Ruskins?
The Ratliff.
It will be the younger son.
Ratliff.
No, I think it's gonna be the dad.
Yeah.
I think he's gonna die.
No,
I think he's gonna die. Yeah, I think it's
gonna be her.
Yeah, he went a little off the deep end with drugs and stuff. Instantly is addicted already. And then I think out of all the 3 friends, I think the famous one's gonna die.
Really?
Okay.
All right,
I just think one of each from each one.
I've got a question for you because I've now I've changed my opinion. So first episode of us recording here, we asked I think Jerry asked the great question of who is the shooter, and I'm going to put my new shot down is Guy Talk. I think that it's for sure going to be him. because you could see all the signs of him,
Who?
the security guard,
My name guy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Guy talk.
Hey, that's who I was last week. That's cool. No, I think it's going to be him. We're setting it up that the world is about to crush down on him. And when those bodyguards came and they were like, let's be dicks about it. So what I liked about Jer, what you were saying, and Ed, and it wasn't Sean, I can't remember which one of you guys though said it, is I feel like maybe the shooter is not going to be the big baddie of like the big killer of the season, right? But I do think it's going to be Guy Tuck. I think it's going to be the security guard. Everything's
That's a good one.
I'm for that because it is in line with my original opinion, which it's staff. Staff is going to be the problem, but I also think that there's something brewing that I misread. I was in the first couple of episodes. We had the Guy Talk kind of distracted by someone, which let cars in to go and rob the bank. We've got this underscore of people are taking advantage of the White Lotus, either the resort itself or the people there. Like there's something hinky going on. And at first I thought a guest was in on it. I am convinced now that no guest is in on it at all. And it is almost, I think, from the top down. And I'm wondering if Mama, old lady who's interested in,
I got to disagree with one point, Sean, and I want to throw this out to you guys, but also I want to see who you think might be the shooter. Chloe, I think that Chloe's in on it. I really genuinely think that Chloe's in on it. She was just happened to be in the changing room when the heist went down, right? She comes out. She's hanging out with Gary, who obviously something weird's going on with Greg Gary. Glenn Ross.
Gary, man.
I don't think it's going to be him. You know, but here's what I thought, or what I realized is that he is the only actor we have had in 3 seasons. Like he's the lifeblood of this show. So it's interesting, but it's really interesting when you think about like, of
however tenuously,
well, he's still there in every season. I just feel that's weird. Sad. But no, I think that Chloe, right? There's something going on with her. There has to be.
So do you think Chloe knows when the massage therapist comes up to Gary, say, "Hey, I know you, and weren't you at Maui, and I know your ex-wife." I feel like Chloe and Gary, they're in on a heist.
You think Gary? I feel like
it's empty. It's empty.
Yeah.
He's running out of he's running out of like money.
Mike White and the creators of the show specifically said that he had a minor role in season 3. Now they could be lying to us, like they lie about everything. But right now they said he had a minor role. And so far it looks like he's really important. But in White Lotus fashion, that doesn't mean he's actually important to the story.
Uncle Rico's not important. Chloe is.
Do you know how this shit, like, you know, White Lotus is one of those shows where it subverts everything. Everything is a red herring. Nothing is real. Everything is trying to get you to the end and keep you interested. I think this was a poor episode. No, maybe not a poor episode, but not as good of an episode because it didn't have good pacing. Not because it didn't reveal enough stuff. It just felt like there was so much music only action.
I'm not really feeling most of these storylines.
Yeah,
I think Rick and Chelsea storyline is interesting. I don't know what's going on with the Real Housewives of like, you know, Thailand and shit like that, you know, or like, you know, OC. But it's just like, it's like they're all snakes. And maybe that's what the episode's all about. Like each of them have their own kind of slithering thing going on.
The problem is there's zero characters that you root for. There's 0 characters that you like. And I was talking to Matt about this, is that, you know, for season 1, we had Alexandra Daddario's character. To me, she was the one that we cared about, that we liked. We wanted to follow her. We wanted to support her. With her?
God.
Oh yeah, we got the son in season 2.
Oh, see, I like Jake Lacey. Oh, see, I hated the son in season 2.
Alfie was amazing.
Oh,
we
my
also
God,
had
he was
what's
such
her
a
name?
little prick.
No, we had Jennifer Coolidge's assistant. Right, there's a lot of people.
Yes.
We were caring, right? We're caring about characters.
Yeah.
Honestly, if you tell me, if you name one character here and they're the one that dies, I'm like, I don't really care.
I feel like Walton Goggins is turning the corner. I think that he is the most interesting, dynamic character. I think that I care also.
Likable.
Oh no, he's becoming likable. He's becoming way more. Look at when you find out about someone's past, you find out their trauma. His mother basically was a drug addict until he was, you know, over like 11. Is that what they said? She died at 11.
Yeah.
His father
Something like
was
that.
murdered. He's from this broken place, and he's built himself up from nothing. And you know what? He doesn't take people who are arrogant about their wealth seriously. And he doesn't like that he's with. And I love the comments he makes. Go find someone richer than me that you can annoy. Just go. Just get away from me.
Dude.
I love him.
No.
He is
No.
such an honest, truthful person.
I must be the only person in that's watching this season. I'm like, I am so Team Chelsea. I think she's so funny. I think she's like the one person you're like, oh my god, she's gonna get bit. She's got like 9 lives
Only
going
heart.
on in this season, dude.
Smart. Maybe she might not die.
Maybe
Right.
she might not die.
I
she,
just
might
don't-
not, she might not die.
I don't like the bloodsucker. I don't like the gold digger. I'm not a huge fan. I'm not a huge fan of that aspect.
Oh, she's not a gold digger.
I think she really loves him. I
Yep.
think she loves this dude.
Yeah, she's like, you
Yeah.
can't get
I
rid of
wouldn't
that.
say
How can they be
I
in
like her,
love?
but-
How can they be in love when their signs are not compatible?
No,
How
put it
can-
this way. I don't like her, but Jer, I'm on her side rather than Rick. I think that Sean's
Of course you are.
obsession. Oh yeah, I think your obsession and love with Rick is duly unfounded. But
And I'm
so-
really liking the youngest son. Sorry, Eddie, go ahead.
No,
Oh,
go
God,
ahead.
the
You like the
youngest son?
youngest Ratliff? No,
Yeah,
I would
the
say
youngest
no.
Ratliff.
He's
bad
really
posture
starting to
boy.
bug me.
No,
He's really starting to bug me. I feel like his character just died out. Personally, I feel like
Wow.
the
Do you
sister
think-
is the one is growing a little bit. We don't get enough of her. I
She's
agree.
annoying to me, actually, man. She's always annoying.
Once
All,
again-
all 3 kids are fucking annoying for me right now, dude. I'm just like getting over these kids, dude. But do you think that kid's gonna die, by the way? Because that kid was in Parker Posey's dream. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The mom.
Well,
Yeah.
so I
I
think
don't remember
yes,
that.
yes, he's
Yeah,
gonna
in the very
die.
beginning.
But
It's
here's what
phenomenal.
I think is that okay. So it's the Chekhov gun, right? Anything that we see in the episode is going to come back some point later on in the season and be important. I think that.
Do you want to
there's
just hold on? Talk
Oh, yeah,
about
I can
Chekhov's
explain.
gun.
Chekhov. Okay,
Talk
so
about
this comes down
Chekhov's
to
gun.
Anton Chekhov, playwright and short story writer, way back in the day, said basically that if you see a shotgun or you see a gun at the beginning of a play, by the end of the play, the gun has gone off, right? So the Chekhov gun basically says that there is no little detail ever put in any kind of fiction that isn't relevant to the big picture. And so you look at I'm trying to think right now of an example. I can't think of
Harry
but
Potter.
those-
Harry Potter's for example. When they introduced the cabinet. There's a cabinet in season 2, or excuse me, in episode in book 1 or book 2, excuse me, where Harry Potter goes into Borgin and Burke's, and then all of a sudden they introduce its sister, and in book 6 they come together. That's something a very
yeah.
minor piece of information that becomes
Right.
very important to the story, just like a
Right.
gun or and it's a method usually of destruction.
So White Lotus. I'm thinking White Lotus season 2 because I just got done watching that. In episode, I think it was 5 of 7. They mentioned the fact that one of the guys has a gun right in his drug kit, and that's Jennifer Coolidge's gigolo, right? And then at the end of the series or in the season, she's taken the gun. Here's what I'm saying, right? That we see something early in a season, or there's something about one of the characters and it's going to have a much bigger ripple effect later on. My thought is the fact that the sister, right, the daughter, whatever we want to call her, that she
Piper.
keeps going to the Buddhist temple and she's trying to find
She's trying to
one
stay.
monk to interview. And there's something about it, right? The fact that now she's gone to the temple twice. I don't know what it's going to be. I don't know if she's going to be the lone survivor of the season because she's out at the temple. I don't know if she's going to instigate something by that. But to me, there's something really big going on with that. And the fact that she set up this appointment for Friday. Now, I'm not sure what day they're at, but is Friday maybe the day
That's
it all
smart.
goes down?
That's a good pickup. I do. Did you see that? This is the first time they talked about because she was only supposed to interview a monk, but now that she actually talked about staying there, she talked about I want to stay here. She never talked about that with her family. With she was so that's going to be a disagreement I see with this Ratliff family that she wants to stay here.
It reminds me a little of season 1 where he gets the youngest son, kind of gets enthralled with the Hawaiian culture and wants to stay in the Hawaiian culture. I do think that you've got something there that My problem with that character, though, is that she's boring as hell, and she's judgmental. And there's nothing like just a rigidly judgmental
She
person.
Two weird brothers.
She's weird. She's just as weird as they are. I'm sorry. She is weird.
But you can't like the younger son, brother.
Why? Why can't I?
I mean, you can.
He's
but
got
you're
bad
wrong
posture. He's got bad posture.
He's got bad posture.
I only know is that the next episode they're going to go on a boat, right?
Yeah.
The last time we went to on a boat, shit happened. So I'm imagining a lot of shit's going to happen. I don't know if it's going to be
Bangkok, man.
Yeah, it's going to be like a fight, or it's going to be someone's going to get injured, or someo's. Well, the shit's going to come out of the bag.
You kind of got a lot going on next episode. You got what's his name going to Bangkok to see the owner of the White Lotus. He's called someone now. You don't really know who he's called to come and meet him there. You've got the owner
of supplies,
right? You've got the owner of the White Lotus going to Bangkok to see her husband. You've got
Jason Isaacs sleeping.
Jason Isaacs is probably going to be sleeping. You've got them going out on a boat, and then I don't know what the celebrity people are doing. The Michelle Monaghan's group. But I will say this: I'm tired of their treatments. I don't care about the treatments. I don't care. Let's do something. And this is what I'm going to say: this show needs to move. It needs to do something, and it has done nothing.
It was supposed to be a big deal that each of them had their own separate time to talk shit about each other. So you saw that,
full circle now.
Finally,
We've
that
all
came.
gotten to do it.
First, they all have done and did it. So this next episode is going to be the blow up. They're all going to realize we grew apart. We're not as close as we thought, and this long, awesome, amazing resort and a vacation. We're over it already, and we want to go home, and they're over it. They're going to be over it real quickly, I feel like, this next episode. And shit's going to go down very quickly with them.
But there's got to be some kind of spiraling that includes one of the other groups, right? There's got to be some kind of carryover.
It's the boat. I think all of them are going to be on that boat for whatever reason.
I'm going to make a prediction. There's going to be a storm.
A tsunami. Yes.
So there's going to be a storm, and you said earlier about that body, was that body the body of a gunshot? And perhaps not. Perhaps there's going to be some sort of a storm while they're out on the boat. Why?
Because remember where the series or the season started. They were having another treatment. The son was there, right? Belinda's son was there. Everybody was cool and chill and calm. If they had just gone through a tsunami and they were all under 7 feet of water, I don't think that they'd be having let's talk about your time in college.
First of all, I'm not quite sure a tsunami is what you think. There's a tsunami and then there's a devastative tsunami. I'm not quite sure that it's. I'm not quite sure that we're talking about the same thing.
If it's enough to float a body,
then
that's probably devastating.
We had a tsunami here in Oregon, I want to say 6 weeks ago, and it was not what you think it was. It was just defined as a swell so high that went inland so far that didn't really cause any damage. I'm just saying a storm. Well, let's just put a storm. How about a storm?
Man, I think I hear what you're saying, but you also just mentioned about the whole Anton Chekhov, whatever that thing is,
the Chekhov
that there's a reason why it's being placed into this episode. We didn't see one tsunami. We saw two tsunamis. We saw one that it was in a dream, seeing it in the future. I don't know. But they also were showing about another tsunami that happened. They were looking on the video.
Down.
But wasn't it the idea? So here's my thought: is that it's all metaphorical. I think that this is where this is getting really literary. It's getting into the idea that it's her mind, that she is having a storm in her mind. I think that the key to that family is going to be Parker Posey's character 100%. It's the mom. It's not Jason Isaacs, and I don't even think it's the three kids now. It's the calm one that has been hanging under the radar this whole time. I think that she's got the tsunami going on her head.
She's gonna find out that the dad is going to be in trouble, and now it's going to blow up.
She might be behind it. By the way,
she might be the shooter. Who knows?
No, you mean behind the insider trading?
The whole thing, she probably is the wet whistle, or not the whistle. The whistleblower. The whistleblower. She probably has everything all locked up. She probably set up everything up so she can be all taken care of. She could be seriously ahead of the game, man, on that part.
I mean, that'd be badass. That'd be really amazing to have that twist. I will say this though, if you go back to season 1, there was weather problems in season 1 as well, which is why they couldn't take boats out or why they couldn't go into the ocean in certain spots. So the idea of weather causing problems is
I
apparent.
think also in season 2.
I can't remember. Too.
Well, something else that we got to talk about too, or keep in mind, is that the Ratliff family now has no connection to the outside world. Right? They've all given up their phones. That's a huge thing, and they made such a huge deal of that with this episode.
Yep.
That if we're going along that whole lines of every little ripple becomes a big ripple, this is a little ripple that I think is going to cause even bigger issues for Isaac's character, because now he can't get in touch with the outside world. So the outside world, my thought, they're going to come to him. I think we're going to see not just Short Round, but we're going to see other people come to, possibly even FBI agents.
I hope so, because I think he's like the worst character of the season. I don't like it. There's nothing going on.
You guys liked him episode 1.
We did.
Why?
But for the last 2 episodes, all I keep seeing him is just like his accents going in and out, where he's like fucking freaking out, and then all of a sudden he's like, oh wait, I gotta go back to my accent, and then he's just like popping pills and shit, and he's like laying in bed. It's like, is that what he's gonna do for the next?
I want Steve
episodes?
Zahn.
I
hear you. I hear you.
I guess I'm getting tired. I'm getting tired of the show, which after 3 episodes is not a good sign. So hopefully it picks back up, because I'm a little, maybe it's just me, but I'm a little disappointed.
Well, we've had 2 good seasons. Really 2 good seasons.
Very disappointed. But hey, so you look back at the other episodes, and the first White Lotus is known for this. The first couple episodes are very slow, and you're like, come on, like pick up. He does that really well.
Yeah, but this took it to
I want to say somewhere around
a masterpiece level.
This is an extra episode. That's the only difference. This is one extra episode than the other ones. But usually it's always around 2 and 3. It's a dead spot, and you're like, oh my god.
I'm not giving up. I'm not giving up. But come on, give me something.
I think the shit's gonna hit the fan next episode.
Do you think Sachin's gonna hook up with Chloe?
Oh yeah,
yes.
100%.
I think they're gonna have a threesome. I think they're gonna have a threesome. Menage a trois between all of them.
Instead of Chloe, what if it's Carrie Coon's character?
With Carrie Coon, with Michelle Monaghan.
It's the 2 brothers, but they're. I'll tell you this much: we're talking about like who might be like behind the whole heist thing. I think that one girl, I think her name is Mook.
Mook, yeah,
the young girl that homeboy is like chasing after. I think that she is probably like running the shit behind the scenes, has everyone all set up, and like she's gonna be like the mastermind of whatever's gonna happen.
So she's really famous, right?
Yeah,
she's really famous.
Yeah, she's with Blackpink, which is like K-pop group that's real big. They're huge. They're selling out like the SoFi Stadium, and the other person, her name is Rosa, and she has that one song like.
APT. That my kids are obsessed with that.
So that's that's one of her other members. So she's blowing up. She was on the Oscars. She was the one that was singing one of the songs.
Oh, interesting.
For the James Bond tribute.
Well, here's the thing too. We need to talk about Belinda a little bit. I think Belinda is kind of this under the surface character that's just kind of riding the tide. The masseuse from season 1.
She confronted Carl or Rick or whatever the hell his name is.
Confronted Gary. She's got this weird fling with the other masseur. But also
weird fling. They both like each other.
When she came into her room, there was that shot of the window open and something going on outside. I think that something's going on with her that could be kind of unraveling out.
So let me just, one of the things that I loved about season 1 was her relationship with Jennifer Coolidge. And I do think that there's a Jennifer Coolidge shaped hole in the season for sure. You need a character like her, someone who's a little bit comedic relief, someone who's going to bring some life to the show. And I think that's what Mike White is missing, is someone to bring that life. I'm wondering if this woman is going to make that transition, if she's going to kind of bring that back, because she's got to get a little sassy. And I'm thinking here's what's interesting. I think she might get an inheritance from the deceased Mrs.
Oh, and Gary finds out.
And Gary finds out. And so there's, that whole dynamic might be very interesting.
Well, it would.
I'm waiting for that confrontation
because it was very clear in season 2 that he signed a prenup. he signed a prenup and was getting nothing if something happened to her.
No. Because I just watched this. Unless she dies, and she died, right? That the prenup was only
the leg was found. Only the leg was found.
No,
That's
you
what
guys.
they're
I
saying.
literally
That's what
just
they're saying.
saw the
clear
season.
that they made clear.
I just watched the episode. She was floating.
We saw it too, but they made clear that only the leg was in the episode. Only the leg was found.
A prenup would have precluded any inheritance. Just so you know, it would just...
no. I'm going off of what the show said. That's why she realized. That's why she
Brandon,
Nope. Listen.
Stick to English.
Sean,
stick to English. I'll stick to the law. How about that?
Okay. I'm going with what they said. This is
they did say
they were trying to kill her. This is so that he would get the money, right? Because she literally says, "I signed." The
so we don't know why.
If I got divorced, but if I died, then he would get the money. That's literally what they show in episode 7 of season 2.
Yeah, they said
Quit
that
me on that, Sean.
They did, man.
They did.
All right,
but obviously it was
maybe
wrong.
they didn't have like a person that
with that
like the facts, of how it's on it. But yeah, it was there, man.
We can't end it on that.
We can end it on that. Sean can be wrong at the end of an episode.
Okay, last thing. What do you want for the next episode? What do you want for the next episode? What are you looking for?
I'll take this one first. Anything to happen. I need some. I don't want more questions. I need some answers. I need some movement forward. I need this to not be a filler episode. And I don't care what anybody says. We can wrap it up in the something happened in this episode. Nothing happened in this episode. We need something. And if it's at the boat, great. If it's with a tsunami, whether it's a big one or a little one, I don't care. I don't give a shit. I want something to happen. So,
okay, Eddie.
I'm gonna agree with Brandon. Like it's just I need something. I need a spark, right? So I think Bangkok's gonna be fire. I think something's gonna happen there with Rick. I want more Rick. He's the person of this season that I'm just like, all right, I enjoy when he's on the screen.
Yeah.
Also with Chelsea, with his girl. It's funny as much as like he's always pushing her away, and then somewhere towards the end, I think he's gonna realize I actually really like you a lot, and now I care for you, and now I can't let you die.
She's gonna say
and then she's gonna save him, or something's gonna happen, but maybe even she dies, and that's where he realizes, shit, I should have been fucking paying attention to what was in front of me this whole time instead of me trying to get revenge. I feel something like that. White Lotus brings out the worst of people, but at the same time, it makes you realize, oh, you know what? I should have been grateful for what I had.
Sean, what about you, man?
I'm looking for a twist. I'm looking for something that we thought was going to happen that we, some M. Night Shyamalanian twist that's going to change the trajectory of the season. Because right now, I am not happy. I think it's boring. I think it's just not hitting it for me.
To add what Sean's talking about, I am also expecting like something that combines all the season together into this episode, something that's going to happen from that past episode, somebody that comes in and just wrecks the whole shit. I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm looking forward to that. Hopefully that happens.
I do think Gary Gregg is hopping from White Lotus resorts to White Lotus resorts because I think he's found
in all 3 seasons. Me too.
I think I do think maybe he's part of something behind the scene of like money laundering, and he's trying to do something. He found something that and this has come to season 4. I think he's going to get away with this season.
I'm going to make my prediction, Ed, and say that you're going to be wrong on one point. I do not think that we're going to see Bangkok. I don't think that anybody's going to get to Bangkok. I think Old Man is going to come back to White Lotus. I don't think Rick's going to actually leave. I think something's going to come up next episode that is going to bring the owner there.
I would go really crazy for a Bangkok, White Lotus single episode, and just have Rick and Chelsea have this crazy adventure.
It will liven up the freaking White Lotus season.
Just so you know, this is about the time that the 2 characters went to that chateau, or that whatever you wanted to call it, that palazzo. Aubrey Plaza left White Lotus and went to the palazzo. It's exciting to think that maybe we are going to get a Bangkok episode. Okay.
That being said, that brings us to the end of our review. Now it's time of the podcast where each of the hosts provides his score on the following scale. Eddie.
Yes, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Anyways, it's a 0. The perfect episode. You don't need shit to enjoy it. 1, a Phil George's first cocktail. 2, a happy buzz. 3, you're gonna Uber or Lyft home. 4, rough morning walk of shame. 5, blackout, shit face, spring break drunk.
Say it, Ed. Say it.
I'll do the countdown and let's see what we've got. Ready? 3,
2, 1, go.
Wow.
Okay, yeah, I was okay. I'll start. I feel like Eddie
I
right
was
now.
okay with it.
I feel like Eddie right now. Okay, I'm going to go with it. So,
see, here's the problem, Brandon. You just tanked an entire season over a mediocre episode. Just so you know, that's what your score.
Let's rewind this back. Let's rewind it back. You see the shark up there, and you see the ramp. I think that's where we're going with this. I really genuinely think this. I think that they ran out of steam with season 2. I think they hit a homer with season 2, and they're like, shit, what do we do? And they're trying to do a lot of different things, but the problem is none of it's landing. So here's what I'm going to say. This episode was, to me, boring as hell. I literally paused it. I hit my little pause button. I'm going to say 8 times just to see how much left of the episode I had. And that's not something that I want to be doing. To me, an episode, I need to lose myself in it and be like, oh shit, it's over already. Right. Same thing I have to feel for a movie or a book or whatever I'm in. I shouldn't be sitting there, and looking over at Amanda going like, when is this going to end? When can we just move on with our life? None of the characters, and I do mean none of the characters, mean anything to me personally. And if they mean something to you guys, you like one of them or you like 2 of them, you're rooting for one of them, that's great. For me, I have zero interest in the livelihood of any single one of them. If any of them die, it literally won't make me sad. If any of them live, it won't make me happy. And that's not something that I want from a show. I want to feel invested in the characters. And what, unfortunately, I think that they've done this season, and I do think that we're at the point where it's too late to rectify this, is that Sean, I'm going to explain that we don't have a character that we can feel connected to. I feel like at this point in the season, if we haven't already gotten that foundation laid of like, hey, we're really going to be rooting for this character to not die, I don't think that we've done that. And so because of that, and in honor of my best friend, Eddie, I'm going to go with his baseball number, 3.3. That's what I'm going with.
No, you have 4.1.
No.
You did not get to override.
Listeners,
tell you what, I will tell you,
it was
Sean,
a 4.1.
Eddie, Jer, Sean, it was a 4.1. I hated this episode. I hated it with an absolute passion.
So I'll go next. Until the Fonz, until the Fonz puts water skis on his feet, grabs
Henry Winkler's right over there,
and the fucking boat is pulling him toward that jumping of the shark. I will not abandon the season to torment. Where were you when the Westfield fell? I want to know, because this is very upsetting. You have taken one bad episode and you have thrown an entire season under the bus. No, you have. You've literally tarnished. No, you have. No, you've tarnished the season because you can't come back. You know what you can't come back from? Your 4.1. You can't come back from that and get a remotely good score. So here's the problem. We all know that White Lotus is a slow burn. And I remember, it was not that long ago where I heard bitchy little Brandon saying about season 2. Oh, season 2 it's slow and it needs to do this. And then he finishes it and it's like, that was the greatest season I've ever seen in my life.
I got to interrupt. I never said that about season 2. Never said that about season 2. I said, this is what season 1 was supposed to be. And it's not what season 3 is.
I've given this episode a 3.25. It was definitely the worst of the season. It's a little bit below average. It's not that good, but I think that this show is redeemable. And I think that Brandon is absolutely incorrect in his assessment. Any character, no matter who they are, with one scene can transform from a love to a hate or a hate to a love. With one moment or a series of moments, they can. I will point to examples in history. Snape.
No,
is
I
the
always
perfect
liked him.
example.
I always liked him.
I
think this episode, I think it did what it needed to do. As much as I was really frustrated with it, I actually liked the whole Rick and Chelsea adventure and the whole snake bit. And you're just like, this is gonna be a funny rom-com if I was like not watching White Lotus. Okay. We're waiting for shit to happen. I think they were putting things for us to actually get us kind of ahead of it, and give us little clues. And I do like that shit. However, I'm with my other gentlemen. This shit needs to fucking pick up. I mean, we were having like crazy shit going on the last 2 episodes at this time, the last 2 seasons at this time of the season. We need that the shit to happen right now. It was just an average episode. I was still waiting for something to happen. And then all of a sudden the credits ended, and they got me really excited because I saw the preview for next season, for next episode. And so that got me like, okay, I'm ready. It's a 2.5 for me, man. It is a happy buzz with a shot. It's an average episode. I'm waiting for more. We'll see what happens next episode. Eddie, what's up?
I'm going to make a prediction that the next episode is going to be a little bit better than this one. It's going to make us lift our head up and be like, God, is this ever going to end? That's what it's going to do. And then on the very end, you're going to be like, oh, I saw that. That's interesting. Like, and that's all that White Lotus is known to do that. You're like, it draws you in and you're like, I want to beat my TV in. And then you're like, wait, I saw what just happened. And then you wait for the next episode and it goes off. Mike White, he's been, he hasn't let us down for two.
Sneaky motherfucker, man.
Yeah, he's a sneaky motherfucker. Yeah. So I'm going to give him some credit right now and say, you know what? I think he did it in 4 episodes. He's going to make us be like, okay, I'm over these motherfuckers. Like, I want one of them to die. I'm going to go ahead and give this a very similar score to Sean. It's the worst of the season. And I think that was on purpose. I really do believe that was on purpose to just make us feel like we're part of the White Lotus of like, oh my God, I want to like go back home and get out of this fucking resort. Yeah. But I give this exactly what the season 3, episode 3. So 3.3, my old college baseball number. Yes. So it was my original score. Brandon was trying to steal it.
I actually didn't see it. All I'm saying is let's go Ned Schneebly. That's all I'm saying is that he needs to step it up.
We'll see.
I don't have the faith that you guys do.
Right now, he's not hardcore, but he could be hardcore. All right. When you take those 4 scores and divide by 3, which is White Lotus season 3, episode 3, get an average rating of Eddie.
It gives us an average rating of 3.2875.
3.2875. Yeah. Jeremiah,
I balanced it out really good for you guys.
Where's our average score for this season? Like where do we compare to other, like we hated Book of Boba Fett. So what was Book of Boba Fett's score versus this one?
Well, I mean, we did hate it, but we hate watch it, but we never actually did it on the podcast, unfortunately. But I'm pretty sure that would have been like a 4 or 5 for us.
That would be a 6.
So
we never recorded that.
Might be a lost episode.
We did via text.
No, the only Star Wars episode or the Star Wars series that we have done
Obi-Wan and Ahsoka.
Obi-Wan and Ahsoka.
Did we just yell at each other over Book of Boba Fett? Like how horrible it was?
We were about to do it, but it got so bad.
We got so bad that we just like, well, I don't want to fucking do this.
It was so sad. I remember just maybe I think we talked about it on the podcast. Just how bad it was. Like,
well, Boba Fett became Mr. Fett because he became a businessman and he always had his helmet off.
So what this does now is a 3.2875. It raises the series average of 2.03. So we're at a happy buzz with this
Sean,
season.
You cannot.
So we went down a full point. A fucking point.
We were at a 1.0 last time. No, we weren't.
Parker Posey.
We took a full cocktail and said this show requires one additional cocktail because of one bad.
Give me a fill.
Yeah, no, I'd go to the tiki bar. I'd go to the tiki bar right now and get us all a round of shots and an umbrella drink just because episode 3 sucked.
If this season ended right now, of all the series, this is the worst series.
Can we mute Brandon going forward? Is that a possibility?
Nope.
Nah. He's real, man.
He's going to write the script.
He's real.
If you enjoyed our review,
you made me drop
if you enjoyed our review or a fan of the podcast, we ask that you please subscribe wherever you are listening. You can find us on Instagram at the.gentleman podcast. The dot means a lot. You can also listen to our new YouTube channel where we're releasing our movies. We have 4 full movies from season 6 on there. We're waiting on number 5. We just released Wicked. Wicked is crushing it. And we invite you to go over there, ring that bell, enjoy our YouTube podcast, or just listen to a podcast version. We really are enjoying dropping those movies. So please, once again, make sure you're liking us. And we want to thank everyone for listening. And with that, cheers.
Cheers, gentlemen.
Cheers, everyone.
We'll see you next week for episode 4.